Hello, busy dads and busy people everywhere. If you're new to this channel, welcome. This is the channel all about the Busy Dad program. The Busy Dad program is the remarkably simple, effective, and time-efficient training protocol that I've been following for the past 19 months since my daughter was born. It's gotten me into the best shape of my life, and it can do the same for you. If you can find just 80 minutes from within your week, and if you can pledge to fill those minutes with intentional physical training according to the Busy Dad program, my friends, the Busy Dad program can work its magic on you just as it has on me. Now, right now I am sitting at LAX airport. I'm preparing for a quick visit to the UK. My brother is getting married and I'm going to be there at the wedding. I'm going to be the best man. It's a very exciting time for our family. And I thought that I would fill some of these lonely hours at the check-in desk with another installment in our series of Busy Dad FAQs videos. These are the videos where I answer frequently asked questions about the Busy Dad program and the training principles that it's built upon. In our first video, we talked about, what did we talk about? We talked about what an average week of training on the Busy Dad program might look like for you. And in the last video, we talked about how it is that I'm able to keep my back strong and in pace with my front body in spite of the anterior focus of the Busy Dad program. In this video, I would like to talk a little bit more about why I chose 80 minutes as the weekly time commitment that the Busy Dad program would require. Many people are struck at how little time that is, okay? And I wanted to take this video to kind of try and convince you that it really is important to stick to this part of the program, to treat that 80 minutes as your budget, not as your bare minimum for your weekly training. So when I explain to people why I chose 80 minutes as the time frame for the weekly buy-in in the program, it all comes down to consistency. I cannot stress enough the importance of consistency if you want to see training results. And so I was looking to find a time window that would allow me maximal consistency. What you need to understand about me is that I have missed 3 training sessions in 19 and a half months. And the reason I've been able to be so remarkably consistent with my training is that I have chosen a time window that promotes consistency. I wanted to find a time window that was not intimidating, that was limited enough so that even when things are absolutely brutal in my home life, when my daughter's going through a sleep regression, when I'm slammed in my day job, where perhaps my wife is needing me to take on more of the childcare responsibilities than I usually would, even when things are falling apart around me, I wanted to find a time commitment that I could reliably make week in, week out. And 80 minutes seems manageable. There has never been a time when 80 minutes has seemed beyond me. So the first reason I chose that time was I wanted it to be a time that I could commit to even at my lowest ebb, even when things were going terribly wrong or when I was just super crushed by life stress. Now, sometimes you get weeks or even months where there's a kind of plain sailing and those stresses in your life are not operating. And then in those times, a lot of people want to say to me, well, shouldn't I treat those 80 minutes as my bare minimum, my baseline, but if I want to do 100 minutes, 200 minutes, 500 minutes, okay, that's all the better. And I say to them, no, exercise restraint and do not train more than 80 minutes, even in those weeks where you're well rested and you're super enthusiastic about your training. I've got to tell you that there are weeks when I am desperate to train for more than those 80 minutes, when I wish I could do 80 minutes a day, but I still restrict myself to 80 minutes per week. Now, why is that? Why don't I treat the 80 minutes as a baseline rather than treating it as my absolute limit? And the reason is, I want to find a time commitment that keeps me hungry. If I'm super well rested and super amped up about my training, and I've only got 80 minutes to express and vent all of that energy, I am going to train super well in those 80 minutes. I am going to plan every single minute and the training quality is going to be as high as it possibly can be. Okay, whereas if I'm allowing myself to train as much as I want, the training quality is going to dip. I'm not going to be as hungry between sessions And also, I'm going to have convinced myself that a week really hasn't been a good week if I've only done 80 minutes, because now I'm thinking of that as my baseline. And so that means when the life stressors hit me again, okay, I'm going to be demotivated. I'm not going to be proud of myself if I can hit my 80 minutes. I'm going to feel like I had a bad week. But I want to feel at the end of every week proud of myself, like I did what I was supposed to do. Okay, and so that means that I stick to that 80 minutes week in, week out, year round, no exceptions. Well, there's one exception, which is on my birthday. Then I treat myself to a 2-hour burpee marathon. Okay, but that's once a year. In the normal run of things, I'm sticking to those 80 minutes a week because I want to stay hungry and I don't want to give myself a workload that intimidates me, okay, when things are falling apart around me. Is 80 minutes a week enough to see results? The answer is yes, if those 80 minutes are intentional and high quality. We're going to talk more about the role of intentionality in the Busy Dad program next week. Okay, but for now, I just wanted to explain to some people why I'm really religious about sticking to that 80-minute weekly budget. Hope you found this video helpful, okay, and expect some burpee-related wedding footage to come soon. Take care, everyone. See you soon.